Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Chag Sukkot Sameach, and what we say in the middle of our holiday is Moadim L'Simcha, that this is the time of rejoicing and celebrating. Best laid plans. We are inside so that we can welcome everyone at home due to the live stream and keep everybody safe and out of the rain. But as it turns out, the rain has been good to us. And so we will be going back out into the Sukkah after our service. And we hope that you at home, that you've built your Sukkot and can go outside into them if you have them, or share with neighbors and friends. So we make plans and God laughs. Just in 2 days we will be changing our liturgy to say Mashiv Haruach Umorid Hagashem, that God will bring the rain and the winds. We're not there yet quite, but God is a little bit early, and that's okay for us in San Diego. We welcome the rain whenever it comes. So we begin with our candle lighting, and I would like to invite Eileen Tatro and Bethany Eisenberg to come and light for us, members of our staff and very much beloved by all of us. Page 2.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu להדליק נר של שבת.
We welcome Shabbat with the beautiful poem L'Chadodi, page 22.
בדיבור אחד, ישמיענו אל המלך אחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה. לך דוד בירת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי בירת כלה, Shabbat, Nekabela, Yitoreri, Yitoreri, Kiva Orech, Kumiori, Uri, Uri, Shidaberi, Kevod Adonai, Alayich Nila, Lecha David, Birat Kala, Bnei Shabbat, Nekabela. Shalom עצרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוניה וסגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה, אדוני לקראת אלוהי, עיני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת אלוהי, עיני שבת before we call each other to prayer, having lit our Shabbat lights, having welcomed the Sabbath bride, let's welcome each other. So turn to your neighbor, wish them a Shabbat Shalom. If you don't know them, introduce yourself. And as you're greeting each other, do me a favor, do each other a favor. Let's welcome all those who are joining us virtually from around the world. Shabbat Shalom, everyone at home. We turn to page 146. We turn eastward for Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed, Le'olam va'ed. Yalalai lai lai, 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 yalalai lai lai. Shabbat gives us an opportunity to contemplate the mysteries of creation that surround us each day. It gives us a chance to stop, to breathe, to notice. We think about God's abundant love, and we consider God's oneness as we turn to page 149 for Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai
We think about our redemption, and we think about our freedom, and we rejoice every day. Mi chamocha bailim Adonai, page 152.
continue, page 153, the words of Hashikiveinu, asking God to create a Sukkot Shlomecha, which are words that we will also sing later. As we know, our Sukkot is not a permanent structure. It teeters. But we still create it. And we hope for some stability. We hope for some peace, even amidst the shakiness and the unknown of all that goes on outside of the three walls of our Sukkot. We join together.
Hashikiveinu Adonai Eloheinu L'shalom, L'shalom, Le'hamidenu Shomreinu Le'chaim, Fros Aleinu Sukkot Shlomecha, Fros Aleinu Sukkot Shlomecha. Shamru Bnei Israel et Hashabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לדורות המריד עולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורות המריד עולם.
וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. שבת וינפש,
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורות המריד עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורות המריד עולם.
We rise together for the Amidah, page 155.
Adonai Sfatai Tifta, Adonai Sfatai Tifta, Ufi Yagim Tehilatecha, Ufi Yagim Tehilatecha. Adonai Sfatai Tifta, Adonai Sfatai Tifta, Ufi Yagim Tehilatecha, Ufi Yagim Tehilatecha.
We continue with our Amidah individually and silently through page 167. Invite you to be seated when you have completed your conversation, your meditation, your prayers. We turn to our words, our prayer for healing. We know that the road to recovery can sometimes feel like a Sukkot Shlomecha, a shaky surrounding of hopeful peace. Nevertheless, we offer our prayers. This Shabbat, we're especially mindful of Ernie Abbott, Mark Edelman, Jerome Bernstein, Leslie Cohen, Rob Cohen, Samantha Farish, Denise Garrick, Evie Golden, Nancy Gordon, Mark Gould, Steve Gould, Ellen Hutt, Ruthie Jordan, Ava Kerno, Michal Batavida Vidavid, Bill Mills, David Murillo III, Lisa Nelson, Mitch Reed, Sharon Ritter, Karen Romer, Galina Rubelchenko, Sue Ruskin Mehar, Rhonda Schwartz, Cindy Spector, Patricia Spira, Julie Thompson, Maxine Trimble and Gerald Trimble, David Tossman, Fred Valfer, Kathy Weil and John Weil, George Wise, Sandy Wood, and Yaakov Avraham Ben Fegelchana. Perhaps there's a name on your heart that you would like to add to our prayers for healing. I invite you to share those names as our eyes meet, and if we say more than one name at a time, that's okay too. Thank you. Thank you. We join together at page 253 in our prayer for healing.
May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishebeirach imoteinu mikor habracha leavoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shleima, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Shabbat Shalom and Chag Sameach to
Shalom.
all of you. It's a wonderful time when we move from Yom Kippur into this moment of Sukkot, when we're thinking about what we call Zman Simchatenu, which is a season of our rejoicing. Well, what can we rejoice about? Right? There's so much in the world that feels pain. And yet, here comes along Sukkot that actually we're commanded to rejoice. There's actually a commandment in the Torah to rejoice. So I always have trouble with that. How do you command someone to be happy? It's hard. But I'm not focused on that this moment, and Rabbi Gimbel will show us in a few moments a little bit of our minim, our species, and we're going to have a bunch for you outside to go into the sukkah and shake, shake, shake your lulav and your etrog. We'll have an opportunity. But I wanted to show you what's on the screen here, which is about something called Shmita. And Shmita, which is important, which is so important in the land of Israel, is actually an important value for us here. And what is Shmita? If you turn to the next slide on the screen, you'll see it says, I'll save you, I'm going to just paraphrase a little bit. Adonai spoke to Moses or Moshe at Mount Sinai, saying, "Speak to the children of Israel and say to them, when you enter the land that I am giving you, the land is to cease, a Sabbath ceasing to Adonai. For 6 years you are to sow your field, for 6 years you are to prune your vineyard, and then you are to gather in its produce. But in the 7th year there shall be a Sabbath of Sabbath ceasing for the land, a Sabbath to Adonai. Your field you are not to sow, your vineyard you are not to prune. The aftergrowth of your harvest you are not to harvest." So what does this mean? In other words, every 7 years in the land of Israel, the farms, the agriculture, are not supposed to be produced and pulled from the land during that time. The land, as we have Shabbat, as we enter into tonight, every 7 years, the land is supposed to lie fallow. This is actually a commandment in the Torah. It means that there are lots of ways that people get around it and selling it to non-Jews and figuring out how to maneuver around it and all of that. But the concept is very important. And in many traditional circles in Israel, they follow the Shemitah. So how do people eat? For 6 years, they're gathering. They're holding this year so they have an abundance, so that they can hold for the year to come. And there are laws very much pertaining, especially in Orthodox circles, to how you observe what's called the Shemitah. So why is this important, and how do we make sense of it in this world that we're living in today? I'm going to give you a simple understanding. So when you shake that lulav and etrog, and as we're sitting outside or indoors, whichever you choose to have your BYO picnic here on Sukkot in this festival, I want you to think about this. Inside ourselves, well, we're trying to figure out how to be our best selves. Many of us. We're trying to think about how to be kind, how to be truthful, how to be honest. And yet there are these forces outside of us that say that we are a world of action, that we're supposed to produce, that we're supposed to gather, that we're supposed to always do, we're always supposed to be, we're always supposed to put it out there in order to get back. We're supposed to liknot, to acquire. And yet, this wrestling, and our rabbis tell us that this wrestling and the duality of holding these together is actually can create poison within us. If we hold too much to the acquiring, we can poison our souls. So does this mean don't acquire, don't ask for things? No. But this means there has to be a balance within. The Shemitah, as like Shabbat, is a reminder that the produce of what we gather, the land of what God has given us, is ours to borrow. And yet we're told to tend and to till it, and yes, that is powerful, and that is sacred. But we have to remember this balance. If we continue to acquire and acquire without a ceasing, without a lishbot, a stop, we can poison our own souls. So take a moment to appreciate the land. Take a moment to go out into a vineyard, to the botanical gardens, to go out into your own backyards if you have, to go out and experience the land and the culture and look at its stillness. Bring some wholeness and peace into your mind, your heart, and your soul. The Shemitah is a very important value, and we'll have opportunities this year to study more about it. But for me, Shemitah means much more than just stopping the work on the land. It means, how do we stop and sit with the goodness so that we don't poison ourselves too much? Let this be our lesson as we enter into the Sukkah, to remind us of the impermanence of life, the temporary output that we put in, and figure out how to move forward in blessing as we say Amen. Rabbi.
I want to share two teachings about Sukkot. One is particularly timely. It comes from the Talmud, from Bavli, the Babylonian Talmud, from the tractate of Rosh Hashanah. There's an entire discussion on the concept of the different New Years, and by the way, there are four. There are 4 New Years. We think of Rosh Hashanah as the main one, but there are in fact 4. There's the beginning of the year in spring. There's this Rosh Hashanah in Elul. We celebrate Rosh Hashanah lebehema, Rosh Hashanah for the cows, or as we call it today, tax day. And there's also Tu B'Shvat, the New Year for the trees. But there's also a discussion about how the world is judged on Rosh Hashanah. And so much of our High Holy Day liturgy talks about this idea of judgment, and the rabbis say that at 4 times the world is judged: on Passover for grain, on Shavuot for tree fruits. On Rosh Hashanah, all creatures pass before God like sheep or soldiers, depending on your translation. And on the festival of Sukkot, they are judged concerning water. In other words, the rainfall of the year. So if this Shabbat Sukkot, where we have to move a little bit and shake ourselves, similar to how we're going to shake the Lulav and etrog, I have a feeling this is going to be a very good year for our rain. Let's hope so. The etrog and the Lulav and etrog are amazing. If we're going to have sets of these available to anyone who wants to take them up. After the service, don't worry. Everybody's going to get their chance. I love it. I love your enthusiasm. And the rabbis teach that all humanity, every kind of person, is actually embodied in these symbols. The etrog has both fragrance and a pleasant taste, if you like citrus. Similarly, there are people in this world who possess the knowledge of Torah, as well as perform meritorious deeds, engage in mitzvot. The palm tree, from which the lulav is taken, bears a delicious fruit, but has no fragrance. Analogously, there are those who possess a great deal of Torah learning, but are devoid of good deeds. The hadass, the myrtle branch, is noted for its aroma, but does not bear edible fruits. And similarly, there are people who perform good deeds, but don't know much Torah. The willow has neither fragrance nor fruit, and that corresponds to the people who are neither learned in Torah nor engage in mitzvot. But God says, let all 4 species be held together so that the more virtuous may protect and complement those that lack virtues. So we hold humanity together in our hands. The blessings that we will offer, there are 2 blessings that we're going to offer. One ends leishev basukah, and that's what we say when we sit, when we dwell within the sukkah, which ends Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu leishev basukah. Or as we rabbis like to refer to it, especially after Ne'ilah on Yom Kippur, leishev basofa. I didn't come up with that. That's a Rabbi Jen Gubitz exclusive. Yes, I know. I used it, though. That's right. I did. Yeah. Staten and Waldorf over here. So that's the first blessing, Leshev Basuka. And the second blessing is when we take up the Lulav and etrog. And that ends Al Nitilat Lulav, who has commanded us to take up the Lulav and etrog. And we shake the Lulav and etrog in 6 directions. We shake it in front of us, behind us, to one side, to the other, up and down, which reminds us that God is all around us. And it also reminds us that godliness and goodness can be all around us when we embrace it with both of our hands. I'd like to invite Ryan Goldenhar up, one of our members of our board of directors, to offer some announcements. Yeah.
Shabbat Shalom. My name is Ryan Goldenhar, and I'm a member of the board of directors at CBI. And it's my pleasure to welcome you to our service this evening. And it's a beautiful service. The music is beautiful. And I guess I should start with the parking, since that's always something. Don't forget to validate before you leave tonight, and remind you that you can find everything else you need to know about Beth Israel and upcoming events on our website at cbisd.org. And also, I want to mention that one of the special things that we have going on right now is an Introduction to Judaism class that starts on October 7th. And it's for anyone interested in learning more about Judaism and deepening their knowledge of Judaism, whether or not you've had a bar bat mitzvah, it's a great way to get to know more about Judaism. There's also a B'nai Mitzvah aspect to it as well. So that's starting October 17th. Be great to find out more if you're interested in that. Also, I want to mention that because of the weather, there is going to be an oneg. It's going to be both inside, outside. Just join us wherever you feel comfortable, in the sukkah, inside, outside. Just make sure to stick around for the oneg. That'll be nice tonight, and hopefully we won't have any more rain. And tonight, what's really exciting for me to be here on Sukkot is I had a little knowledge and learning myself. So I had a bar mitzvah, but one of the things that mystified me was we finished with Yom Kippur, and then we're not starting with looking at the whole Torah and starting again with Simchat Torah until next week. So I was thinking, what is this period of Sukkot in between the two? And I learned as part of getting ready tonight from a rabbi up in Los Angeles who studies medieval literature. And what he was saying was, this is a time for us to get ready to start the Torah again. We get excited about it. Yom Kippur is really looking inward and kind of destroying or bringing us to introspection. And then Sukkot is a building up and getting excited for the harvest. So this is a time when we get excited to begin again with the Torah. And so this is a little preview, and that's what we're seeing is Moses talking to God and getting the tablets. It gets us excited for starting the new year. And for me, that was exciting to understand how we go through the whole year with the different passages, and then we have this special time right now for Sukkot, where we get to go back in time and just see a very special passage before we start it all over again. And so for me, I wanted to share that with you, if that was an insight for you as well, and always learning more. So thank you for being here tonight. And again, hopefully you can join us for the oneg. And make sure I didn't miss anything here. Shabbat Shalom.
So before our services this evening, we had a gathering. Now, I know San Diego, rain chases away everything and everybody, but luckily you braved the droplets and managed your way here. And so I'm so glad you did so. And a number of our newer Beth Israel family members came tonight as well. And so I'm going to ask you to rise in your place at this time if you are part of the newness, the new family that we have with us this evening, I invite you to rise in your place. I want to take a moment to reflect on those, all of you, who came in the midst of a pandemic. You decided to join an extended family. You found your way into making Beth Israel your home. And it brings us tremendous joy to welcome each and every one of you. Throughout this past year and a half, you all leaned into resilience, into hope, and we've already given you a sense of belonging, whether virtually or in person. And I know there are many watching also who are with us, new members of our family. I hope that you have been met with the warm embrace that will encourage and inspire you and evolve your Jewish passion and identity. Inside this large community, you will find other small communities that will offer even more opportunities for you to engage with. The synagogue, by definition, is a place of assembly. Though it may not feel like it at present, as fully and as comprehensively it has been the central address of the Jewish people for over 2,000 years. And it's been the centerpiece of vibrancy, of continuity, and engagement that has held our communities through our greatest joys and our deepest hurts. Here at Beth Israel, we want you to know that people matter. Humans are created in God's image, and that all of us model the idea of menschlichkeit, of being good and decent human beings. And I believe that our tradition helps us to evolve our sense of self, better define our passions, and elevate our work and sacred service in this world. This should be your space and place to curb your ego and to be mindful that there is something greater that we serve. From celebrations and commemorations to learning and praying and doing together, we have so much to share and to experience with one another. As you join in the sacred covenant this evening, please know that you are connected to the community around you and to the Jewish people everywhere, and to the many who charted the course that came before us. Here, you matter. And it is with that recognition that we are so pleased to welcome you officially as part of our Beth Israel family. I invite my clergy partners to share in this ancient blessing on this sacred night that's been passed throughout the generations to offer you this evening.
Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and guard you.
Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka. May God's face shine upon each of you with radiance and with grace.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God's presence ever be with you all. May you be granted health, joy, love, and the blessing of peace. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you all. And you can remain standing, actually, as we move into our concluding blessings. I invite you to turn to page 282 in your prayer books as we join together, facing the ark, and we say, to honor Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
please be seated as I invite you to turn to page 294 in your prayer books. We take a moment to reflect on those we've loved and lost, for those who continue to live in our hearts and in our memories. If I mention the name of a loved one, I invite you to rise in your place, whether you're here with us physically or you are joining us virtually. In this period of Shiva, we recall Trudy Bohm, mother of Rabbi Lenore Bohm, and April Mandini, niece of Mendy Strebe. In the Shloshim, in these 30 days, we recall Robert Bennett, Norman Berman, Howard Brotman, Sima Gapsky, Ruth Moskowitz, and Charles Noodleman. And in this upcoming week, we recall the yard sites of Herman Edelstein, Helen Albert, Samuel Arden, Augustine Ayala, Anna Benson, Laurie Berg, Kenneth Berg, Harry Bilski, Gertrude Bliss, Esther Bobrow, Karen Ann Brown, Sam Kavulas, Molly Cohen, Arlene Cohen, Esther Cole, Yuri Dashkovitz, Molly B. Deutsch, Elizabeth Dickstein, Louis Dorfman, William Dubin, Nati Edrai, Mortimer Martin Elkind, Esther Fire, Samuel Field, Muriel Philman, Max Forsheimer, Helen Friend, Jacob Goldstein, Helen Goldie, Mary Catherine Grant, Harry Gross, Sheila Zena Goldstein Harbrick, James Hickman, Sidney Hershelson, Bernard Holden, Marie Berg Harwitz, Charlotte Harwitz, Edith Friedman Harwitz, Stephen Michael Kimmel, Hai Korbgen, Albert Kowick, Rose L. Kramer, Seymour Kuntz, Esther Lambert, Genesee Levin, Alfred Levy, Maury Levy, Tommy Mandel, Neil Meldon, Minnie Miller, Lillian Morris, Eileen Moulton, Max Nauman, Marlene Newell, Hannah Newman, Victor Plotkin, Renee Richmond, Pauline Robbins, Martin Rosenbaum, Henriette Rubin, Francis Sanford, Freddie Schultz, Chaya Sarah Schoenberger, Howard Schreiber, Norman Schulman, Alvin Schwartz, Herbert Schultz, Richard Silver, Alvin H. Silverman, Avery Simon, Harry Smargan, Miriam Smolin, Francie Starr, Selma Steiner, Ann Strubb, Gloria Sulkin, Saul Herman Susnow, David Louis Tenenbaum, Maria Wellner, Jesse S. Winokur, Alex Wirtz, Alan Yablonsky, and Saul Zwerling. If there's a name that you are recalling at this time, I invite you to rise and share that name. And as we join in a collective community to honor those who are no longer with us, I invite you all to please rise if you're able, as we join together in the words of Kaddish Tom. Together we say, Yitkadal v'yitkadash merabah, be'alma divrach hirutei ve'amlich balchutei, b'chayechon v'yomechon, u'v'chayeh v'chol Beit Israel, ba'gala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba Mevarach Leolam Ulamei Almaya Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitpa'ar V'yitroman V'yitnaseh V'yitadar V'yitaleh V'yitalal Shmei D'Kudisha B'richu La'ela Mikol Berchata V'shirata Tush B'chata V'nechemata Damiran Be'alma V'yimru Amen Yehei Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya V'chayim Aleinu Ve'al Yisrael V'yimru Amen Oseh Shalom b'mamav, Uyaseh Shalom, Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru Amen. Zichronam Livracha, may their memories ever continue to inspire and be for blessing as we stay together. Amen. I invite you to put your prayer books down if you're so inclined and comfortable to place your hand around the loved one or loved ones you came in with. As we hold one another in this moment, we're going to say Motzi after the conclusion of our service. I'll invite you to head outside to the Sukkah. We will have Lulav and etrog. I remind you, Monday night, Simchat Torah, outdoors, dancing with the Torah, holding the Torah. We need people to hold and hold the Torah as we unroll the entire Torah around our courtyard. So we need you here Monday night. So you're all coming Monday night, so I appreciate it. So thank you. Thank you in advance. So just as we conclude this evening, I'm taking a moment in pause. We're concluding with
Adon Olam.
Adon Olam. Here we go.
Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra li ein nasa v'cheftzov kol hazay melech shemo nikra. Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra li ein nasa v'cheftzov kol hazay melech shemo nikra. V'yacharei kivlot hakol levado yimlok nora. Vehu haya vehu hoveh vehu yiyeh Tifara Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra li ein nasa v'cheftzov kol hazay melech shemo nikra. Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra li ein nasa v'cheftzov kol hazay melech shemo nikra. Ein sheni lehamshir lo leachbira v'li reshit v'li tachlit v'lo ha'oz ve'am Yisra. Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra li ein nasa v'cheftzov kol hazay melech shemo nikra. Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra li ein nasa v'cheftzov kol hazay melech shemo nikra. Vehu eli v'chai go'ali v'tzur chevi ve'et tzara. Vehu nisi umanos li menat kosi ve'yom ekra. Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra li ein nasa v'cheftzov kol hazay melech shemo nikra. Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra li ein nasa v'cheftzov kol hazay melech shemo nikra. Ve'yado afkin ruchi v'yeti shan ve'ha'ira ve'im ruchi gevi'ati Adonai li ve'ha'ira. Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra li ein nasa v'cheftzov kol hazay melech shemo nikra. Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra li ein nasa v'cheftzov kol hazay melech shemo nikra.
As we join together in the Motzi, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Shabbat
Shabbat
shalom.
shalom.
Chag sameach.